Joining me this morning is Peter Igaga.
Good to see you, sir. How are you doing? Morning to you.
What school did you go to?
I went to actually the only school that there was in Kenya. And I believe, yes.
It was the only school?
It was the only school. And that's what we were taught, right from from class 1. That's what you're taught, that it's the only school. It's called St. Mary's, Nairobi. Okay. And it has produced very many well-known people, like currently the current president of Kenya went to that school.
So what happened to you?
I'm getting there.
Maybe one day.
Yes. No, not one day. It's coming. Coming. Not the president of Kenya, but anyway, I'll not say where.
President of some organization somewhere.
Yeah. For political reasons, yes.
All right.
And but just to because before we went on there, we had a chat, and Joel was being Joel, okay?
Joel,
yes.
You went to St. Lawrence. You mean for high school?
High school in St. Lawrence.
Yeah, St. Lawrence.
Right? Okay.
Yes. And I think you actually literally are a product of the school you go to. And that's why parents who invest in their children's education and invest in good schools end up bringing up certain people with certain qualities. Because the truth of the matter is, you spend more of your time in school than at home. So your school mentors you, it teaches you and gives you direction. If you are put in a school where people are slow, like Mabel, you're bound to be slow.
That might throw me out.
But also, I also happen to be a Gaza old girl. So because my sister was in Gaza, and I mentored her through the entire process. And you realize in schools like Gaza, there is a culture, okay, which even the guardians, the parents are embedded in. You all become one family, and you all are into that culture. So there is a certain way of doing things. And then when you get out of school, you continue with those things. And that's what sets you apart from others.
Someone will say that what happens after school has absolutely nothing to do with the school you went to. You're hustling, everyone for himself, and God for us all. Joe?
You see, if you ask me whether the school I went to makes me or breaks me, it's a yes and no. I agree partially, though. Yeah, the entirety of that, this school you've gone to, it determines literally everything that you become. No. I think that's absolute flapdoodle. And I'll tell you what. I went to St. Lawrence, yeah? And in a way, St. Lawrence did a couple of things for me. I learned, to be fastidious, to be fastidious, to pay attention to detail and stuff like that. I learned a couple of those things from there, yeah? But you see, how do you explain, because you're telling us you went to St. Mary's, Nairobi, and it's made, some of the top-notch fellows that we know about. How do you explain? Because I'm sure you have some OBs that are into debauchery, they are drunkards and doing all manner of things, and yet, when you juxtapose them against these ones that you're saying have made it, how do you explain that? The big five we have here in Uganda are Budo, Namiryango, Smack, Gayaza, Navisunsa. And they'll tell you that, look, if you don't go to any of these five, you're a total failure. And I think not at all. Because you see, I know guys that have gone to Budo, and they have made it. I know people. I have a relative who went to Budo. He's a drunkard par excellence today. How do you explain that?
Okay, you see, the fact that the school plays a large part does not mean that it's everything. Of course, there are other factors.
But does it actually play a large part?
It does, and I'll tell you what. If you look at the kind of schools, okay, I beg to stay away from that issue of saying they're the top five, because right now the spectrum has grown.
Absolutely.
Yes, has widened.
St. Lawrence,
yes.
You know what the best last year. You know what I'm talking about.
If you may say so. But we see.
Newspapers, but anyhow.
And I'll pick St. Lawrence, especially St. Lawrence and.
Kitende.
Yes,
you talk about the private ones,
yes,
Bongo
and also the schooling company that was very, very famous. One of Father Grimes. Namasagali, yes. Like one of the things, I'll give you, in fact, let me just zero in on Namasagali. One of the things that Namasagali was well known for is
dance and music.
Yes, dance and music. And what Namasagali would do for you would not necessarily push academics, but when you'd come up, it would broaden your spectrum. So when you get out there, your way of thinking is bigger. Because the truth be told, it's bigger than academics. I mean, you can be an academic giant, but then like you talked about, when you're thrown out into the world, it's a hustle. It's a different story altogether. Yeah. How do you pick up what is thrown at you and say, let me put these blocks together and make something out of it? The harsh reality is, if you look at most of the successful people across the world, they're not literally the most intelligent book-wise.
Yeah.
But they're the people who have been able to pick what is thrown at them and figure something out.
Is that something that the school teaches you? So,
Yes, it
for
is.
example, if you know that you went to Budo, you will make sure you do whatever it takes not to be a failure?
Yes, because there's a lot of pressure which is put on you.
So what
The
explains the many
expectations.
failures that went to Budo? I know several of them. Several of them.
I'll tell you what, by and large, in everything, there's some very successful families, but you'll find one black sheep.
I'm
which will
talking
always
about
be there.
one. I'm talking about
Okay,
a
a few.
plethora of them.
A few black sheep. However, by and large, also one of the things which your school does for you is connections. I mean, the fact that somebody's your OB or you went to a certain school, you have certain things in common. It puts you at a position where you can walk into somebody, you have a kind of like a soft landing. The fact that you went to a good school doesn't make you good. The bottom line is whether you're good or bad depends on you. If you're a bad person, you're just a bad person. Nobody can help you, not even
Regardless
God.
of where you
yes,
go.
regardless of where you go.
An example is given. For example, if I needed right now something from, say, the Ministry of Finance, there are lots of old boys I would call right now, and they would
Exactly.
hook me up.
Yeah.
But if I went to some school in a village somewhere, I am sure those OBs are not Ministry
Brian,
of
you went to
Finance.
SMAC?
I went to Mengo.
Oh,
I
no
want to
wonder.
remember.
Okay, yeah.
Explains a
But
lot.
I am sure in every ministry in this country, there's an OB. But there are schools where you're sure you're the best that has ever come out of that school. And so everyone comes to you. So what do you do then if the people that you spent half of your life with are nowhere to be seen?
You see, Brian, when we are in secondary schools, especially, and nowadays, you know, rarely do you see somebody run from senior 1 to senior 6. Much of the time, we become fungible along the way. You'll go to this one, the other one, and the like. Look, there's an iota of truth in what you're saying, that because I went to school with this person, you know, as an OB, it said they'll connect me and stuff like that. But, you know, I look at the connections today, and much of the time, they do not have so much tethering to the, you know, high school, we went to school together and so on. We have met eventually, and eventually they're thinking, okay, this guy is sagacious, I can get him work to do, I can get him a deal and that kind of thing. Not so much because we went to school together. And you know, each time I hear people expostulating about, you see, when you go to this school, you are a lot better and stuff like that. When we were in primary, I was telling you about the big five. They told us, look, if you do not make it to any of these big five, Budo, Namiryango, SMAC, Gayaza, Nabisusa, well, there's many others, you know, but those five were telling us if you don't go to any of those, they didn't say it directly, but the insinuation was that you are a failure. And we did
But
everything we could.
because those schools took
The cream.
And that's the point. So you see, when you don't make it to any of those schools, you feel as a total failure, as they cannot make it at all in life, and that's not entirely true. Because you see, I look at many guys that went to those schools, and I compare and contrast, and I'm thinking, look at them, you know. So,
But however, can I just mention something, Joel? Fact, there are certain schools that have produced, they produce doctors, there are others that produce leaders,
Engineers,
they produce politicians. I'll give you an example like Ntare. Ntare has produced a good number of what you call of leaders, okay, both in this country and beyond, okay. Isn't that can't we then say there must be something that school is giving?
to an extent, yes. But you see, why much of the time we look at these politicians, you know, when there's an old school party for Budo, for example, you'll see this minister, the other MP, the other judge, and so on and the like, and they're thinking, hey, this school here must be serious. But you see, it is only because back in the day, the likes of St. Lawrence, the Chitendes of this world were not there really. You know, the schools that have been here for decades are the Budos, and so you either went to those schools or you went to those schools.
But you see,
You know,
even
so-
currently, you know, schools have old boys associations. You know, for example, when Mengo has an old boys association, I'm proud to find Justice Kavuma there. I'm proud, and I'm
Kavuma?
like, yes. I'm like, wow, this
Stephen Kavuma, the Deputy Chief Justice.
This gentleman is an OB and he was there when, of course, during the
good old
Obote
days,
times, the good old days. But it gives me a sense of confidence that where I went to, you know, the school is able to produce such people. So if you have such a scenario where the entities of this world are producing presidents, and not just one president, presidents and permanent secretaries of
Well, there are
leaders
two so far.
or bank managers, you have those people. You're driving and you see a sticker, I'm a proud Nabi.
Brian, you seem to insinuate that if the school I went to has no OB who is the minister, who is the whatever, then I'm a
But as
total
a
failure.
parent,
And I
as a
don't agree
parent,
with that.
aren't you
I
led to
don't at all.
think that doesn't
But you see,
that
that's
bias
the
your
wrong way of
decision?
thinking. Because you see, look at and try and understand why did they become this way. Because like I was saying, much of the time previously, those were the only schools there were. So you either went there or you did not go to school at all. So that is why we have them the way they are now. But you see, the trend has changed now. And that is why private schools are coming up. And they are breeding out perspicacious young fellows. You know, and where are the bulldogs of this one?
And I agree with you, Joel. And that's why, you see, those private schools have joined the leagues of the Big Five or the Big Ten. And I'll tell
they've
you,
actually created a league of their own because they're saying, look, I don't have to be a part of this Big Five to make it.
Yeah, but now let's just look at, I'll give you an example. If I may take a school that I know very well, Kamuli SS, okay? Don't you believe that those guys in Kamuli SS will look at the guys in St. Lawrence and say, wow.
We want to be like that.
Do you believe that a student who is in St. Lawrence, who goes through his education in St. Lawrence and comes out, and one who comes out of Kamuli SS are at the same level? You throw them into Kampala and say, run. They can run at the same speed?
Yes and no. No, because you see, well, this one that's gone to St. Lawrence or whichever other good school there is has been exposed a little, etc., etc. Exactly. But you see, the so-called underdogs should not think, I've not gone to St. Lawrence, I've not gone to Budo, so I'm a failure. And I'll tell you, look at the most, astute guys, either in business or whatever the case might be, and trace their history. You will find they didn't go to any of these schools, So you're not in St. Lawrence, like I did go to St. Lawrence. You're not in Budo, you're not in whatever. For goodness sake, you're not a failure. And for me, I think that's the direction the debate should take. And I see people out there say, you see, you either go to this one or you'll not make it in life. And I'm thinking, absolute poppycock.
In the current state, we have international schools. And I was telling someone, if I get the money, I want to take my child to, for example, Aga Khan, because I know probably a diplomat's child is at that school.
Exactly.
And I would love to get that.
So you're taking them just because a diplomat's son is there, not because of the content they give them.
A diplomat.
And also, I'll tell you what, I agree, by the way, with Brian, and I'll tell you why. It doesn't matter. Okay, education is very, very important. But I emphasize this thing called exposure. It puts you at a whole different level. The world has now changed, okay? The world has opened up. I mean, when you look around us, you walk outside here on the street, I guarantee you, there are 3 sets of people you're going to meet. You'll just see them. The moment you walk out of this gate, there'll be a European, there'll be an Indian, there'll be a Chinese. Whether we like it or not, that's the way it is. The world has become smaller. So if you are not at par with all those people, you're in trouble. Right now, there are Chinese who have opened stores in Owino. Okay,
yes,
and even in Chikubo is better. They're selling, but now we've gone even further into Owino. They're selling chapati and bringing Chinese food, opening Chinese restaurants. Right. So whether we are competing against these people. So now, if we are not at the same level as them,
right from
the word go, and it starts. I mean, we've seen it. There's so many children who, the moment you put them in front of a Mzungu, they can't talk. Yet they're very bright. They're smitten. You put them in front of an Indian. I saw a situation once where at a clinic, a child got very excited and started telling his mother that doll is alive because the mother was an Indian and she was carrying her child and the child started walking around. The kid got excited and said, "Oi, mom, the doll is alive. It's walking." Is that child stupid? No, I'm dead serious. Is that child stupid? No, the child is not. But exposure.
I'll tell you, I do totally agree that, look, if somebody has gone to a high-class school, in Kampala, where there's exposure, there's all these amenities, you cannot compare and contrast them with a child that's gone to Bopadeng or secondary school, deep down the other side, yeah? But you see, the point for me is that just because I've not made it to Budo, to St. Lawrence, to Namilyango, Navisunsa, Gayaza, etc., for one reason or another, for goodness sake, I'm not a failure. And there's a plethora of evidence to that effect.
So when you get children, are you going to take them to, for lack of better, a second-class school?
Of course not. If I can afford it, I want to take them to even 0 class, if that is better than first class. You see, yeah? So let's do our very best to avail these opportunities. Awesome. But you see, not everybody has had that chance. Not everybody that has made it in life went to those. And that's the point of, just because for one reason or another I've not made it to these schools, either I did not meet the grade that they wanted, because they'll tell you, for us to take 4, 5. And you see, nowadays when a child doesn't get 4, they feel like a failure. You remember the story of a little girl that committed suicide? Because she got 5 and not 4. And for me, that's the mentality I want us to go away from. Because you see, if I don't get 4, I'll not go to Gayaza, so I'm a failure. No, you are not. And that's something we need to inoculate in these young people, that, look, it is a good thing that you go to some of these schools, that have all these amenities and exposure, etc., etc. But for one reason or another, if you do not make it there, there are examples to show that you can make it.
Shouldn't there be a standard to strive? I'll tell you, when I wanted to go to Makerere College, I did it. Of course, I did kill myself, but I knew
Thank goodness.
That, thank goodness, but I knew that there's always a standard that you're looking up to. Even in our business, there are people you look up to, and until you hit that point, you're like, you know,
I have to
I
keep
Let me
pushing.
ask you a
I've
question.
not yet made it.
Let me ask you a question, and don't be disingenuous. Do you feel like maybe if you had gone to Makerere College, which you failed to make it to, you would be a lot better than you are today?
I think.
Yeah, can I answer that also that question? I mean, I also had a lot of aspirations. I didn't go to the university that I wanted to go to, but I believe, and even I monkeyed around a lot in school, and I even tell my daughter the same thing. And I believe, had I not done what I did, my life would have been much better. Okay.
That's hypothesis.
Yeah, because I'll never know.
Because
I'll never know.
Actually,
Yes.
who knows? You could have actually have been worse than you are today. You know.
But however, but what like Brian has said, I think it's important to be that even if because there are very many factors. Maybe my parents cannot afford to take me to the good school that I want. There are very many other factors at play. But if I should be in a situation saying, you know what, even if I didn't get it, I should want it for my children. Okay, and I quote my late father. He said, "The success of any parent is to give your children a better life than you had."
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about. Because you see, also one of the challenges we have is we've got people who say, hey, you know what, I went to this and this school, so what's wrong with it? There are parents who can afford to take their children to better schools, but say, no, you'll get spoiled. It's a waste of money. So they say, you know what, I went to this school, you stay here.
Let me ask you again, Brad. Do you feel like a failure today?
No, I don't. But I feel.
But you went to
hold on.
So what's wrong with
you? I should, at this point in my life, I should have been somewhere else.
What makes you think that if you had gone to Makerere College, for example, you would have been a lot better? Because you're talking about some of your colleagues that went to Makerere College, they're a lot better. There are some that went to Makerere College, they're a lot worse than you are.
But the people that I know, that I interact with every day.
Maybe you need to find
I
out
went
a
to
lot more
Makerere
about others.
Some of the business partners that went to King's College, Budo or SMAC, at a better level. So I feel like I should have been at that point. So while I am proud of what I've become, that does not remove the fact that if I had worked hard, say in primary or O level, and gone to say SMAC, Budo, because I see that happen. I see that happen with my wife. My wife went to King's College, Budo, and she'll never be stuck because there's someone.
That's not true.
But that's the
But I've
truth.
given you examples of many people that went to Bodo that are not only
But
stuck.
don't forget,
but you see,
Joel is saying that
no,
it's okay, you can just do whatever you want, it's okay.
Joel,
No,
Like,
that's
go
what I'm
work
saying.
hard.
I'm simply saying that, look, if you don't make it to these so-called, I don't know, top-notch schools and the like, because you're saying your wife went to Budo so she can never be stuck. Are you kidding me?
Because
Are you kidding me?
I've seen that.
That's
work.
reality,
I've
yes,
seen
the
that
reality
work.
is
No,
the
that's
reality.
not true.
I've
Because you
seen
see, I've
that
told you,
happen.
I've met many Budo graduates. I've told you about a relative that I know. He's a drunkard today. He's a total mess, yeah? But he went to Budo. So how do you explain that? And there's many others that I know about
So, Joe, you're
that
saying we
are a
shouldn't
lot
work
more
hard?
than stuck.
We shouldn't work hard, we just take
No,
life as it is.
that's not what I'm saying. Are you kidding me? Work as hard as you possibly can, but look, if you don't make it to some of these, what we are calling, I don't know, top-notch schools and stuff like that, you're not a failure, for goodness sake. And look, we are sending the wrong message to kids out there, and that is why they feel, if I'm not a part of this, I'm a total failure. And you're seeing the stories, you know, when they get 9 in 8 instead of 8 in 8, I'm not making it to Budo, so I'm a total failure. My life is a total mess. What rubbish is
But
that?
even you read the papers, Joel, every day, I think, even the kids that are from the massacre, deep down in the village, when they ask them, where are you going in the next?
Yes, because that's what we
A-level,
are telling
they
them.
but that's
It's because
that's
what
why
we
there's
are
a
telling
Harvard
them.
and there's a Mackay University. Don't you think so?
Absolutely, but you know, even these that we are calling the Harvards and the like, you know, these high-end schools, because I look at the education that they are doling out. You see, I imagine that education should equip somebody for life. We are only equipping kids for academic excellence. You get your 4 in 4, you get your 8 in 8, you get your 20 points out of 20. And that is all you are. You meet these people, they've gotten first-class degrees, but you have an interaction with them, a banter, and you're thinking, my goodness, where's the first class in this? And you see, that's the challenge I have again when we put a lot of, you know, emphasis on you must make it to this particular school. You go there, cram things and excel, and you know, you get your first class, but you see, you're shallow in the rest of life. And that's very unfortunate.
How do you know that this is a good school for your child? A school that will not just impact academics, but also the life skills that even if I've gone to, what school did you say?
Bupadengo.
Bupadengo. Somewhere down there.
It's Bupadengo.
Yeah, Bupadengo. I will not be worried because I know at the end of high school, my child is going to be equipped even if they didn't go to the first-class schools.
Okay, I think one of the key things, of course, is a school that emphasizes on academics. Academics are very important, but then also extracurricular activities. Nowadays, there's no physical education. Kids are just in class. That's the school, and it doesn't have to mean taking kids abroad or all that. Does the school engage in interactions? Do they take the kids out? We laugh at these visits to the Coca-Cola factory and all that. Those things are very, very important. They let kids know that there's more out there. Because I can be in Bupadengo. My father is the only one who has a bicycle. I'm the toughest guy. I mean, my dad owns a bike. I'm the hardest guy. I don't know what's going on out there. I mean, and so schools that offer exposure. Because I believe exposure is what makes the difference between you and the rest of the guys out there when you're all thrown out there.
Joe. You see, for me, that's the tangent I think we should be taking. If you're going to enroll your child into a school, don't look out for how many first grades did they get, how many fours, how many eights in 8, because now that will keep leading you to the Budos and the like, you know. No, look at what kind of education are they giving to those that go through them. Is it holistic education? Is it just a 4 and 4? But the rest of the other areas, the extracurricular activities that you're talking about, are they addressed? Much of the time they're not addressed by these big 5 or big, I don't know how many that you're talking about. They're actually not, unfortunately. So you come out, you have a 4 in 4, you're very brilliant, but you go for, I don't know, a function, you're the one hipping your plate a certain way. You're the one doing some of these odd things that I went to Bodo. Absolute poppycock.
Okay, we'll see. What school did you go to, Latigo? St. Joseph, Zambia.
You see?
But don't lie to us, we will follow up. Okay, what school did you go to? Alliance Model. Chitante. And Maria went to
St. Maria Goretti. That must be her father's school.
Okay, so our hashtag is Wasomerawa. My internet has taken a toilet break, but we'll be sampling those comments after this short break. Make sure you tell us what you think about this, because yes, kids are in holiday right now, and we grew up with kids who are transferred literally every term because their parents thought that the schools they were in did not, they were not the best schools. And if you are a product of the big 5, like Joe says, share with us your testimony. I'm told at Budo that they literally grade, they put, for example, the rich in one place.
That nonsense.
But,
I don't know if it's true.
And
that is wrong.
But that is the reality of life, true or false.
Yeah, but you see, let life, grade
the
you out.
The rich live in Kololo, don't they? Yes, they live in Muyenga.
I mean, be shocked. What comes to Kisaki where I live?
Every rich person wants to build in Kololo.
There's no more space in Kololo. Well, there's another K. There's Kisasi, there's Kulambiro, there's Chianja, there's Komamboga.
Every rich person is going to Chira, Namugongo.
Now you're talking.
And they push out.
Gone are the days of, I don't know, Kololo, Mujenga. They're actually rich slums.
Well, this conversation can't end. Peter Igaga.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for doing it. You can catch Peter Igaga tomorrow.
Man.
What are you talking about tomorrow?
No, that one has been censored. We have actually gone on a break. So we'll be back after 3 months.
Okay.
Yes, so want to breathe in and breathe out.
I'd want to know what all you guys would mean, the schools you went to. Right now I can really try and make out. Some of them they drop out.
Okay, and of course, John Sejoji, thank you guys so much for coming. Parents, share with us and let us know the contribution probably your school has done to your child, and we can always make each other better. Star Times and ICA Group, power everyday life. Stay with us.